I? Garrick queried dryly. Odd. I don't seem to remember making such a momentous decision. Well, no. You were out of the country at the time, in Venezuela, I believe. You may remember you had given strict instructions that you were only to be contacted in an emergency. I see. And you, of course, didn't consider that the death of my cousin and his wife was an emergency. Is that it? Never mind the fact that my cousin has named me as co-guardian of his child. He was only your second cousin, David muttered helplessly. There'd been no contact between you as far as we knew. He didn't add that the whole office knew of his well-documented loathing of hangers-on of any kind, and it was for that reason that David had assumed that he wouldn't want the child. So, there was an error of judgment. Now, what we have to do is to correct that error. Have you been in touch with the woman? What's her name? Kate Oakley, David supplied for him, admitting, well, no, not yet. We weren't sure what your instructions were going to be. He cleared his throat nervously again. You see, it would be very difficult now to reclaim the child. We would have to prove negligence on the part of your co-guardian, and here, the mere fact that she's a woman and you're a man would immediately balance these scales in her favour. We could try to negotiate, of course. He said it so doubtfully that Garrick frowned. How much do you know about her? He questioned abruptly. Silently, David Wilder handed him a file. Let me read this, and then I'll come back to you. In the meantime, don't do anything. If I think it necessary, I'll go and see Miss Oakley myself. It may be that I will be able to persuade her to see the advantages of the child's coming to me, he said grimly. A few hours later, when David Wilder was relating the story to his wife while she was preparing dinner, she turned her head and said thoughtfully, "Buy her off, did he mean?" David winced, but admitted that it was a strong possibility. Well, I hope she turns him down, Elaine told him roundly. That poor baby! What on earth does he want it for, anyway? He doesn't strike me as a man who would want to take on such a responsibility. Heavens, he's never in one place long enough to bring up a child. He wants an heir, I suppose, David told her. Oh, I see. And rather than go to the trouble of finding himself a wife, he's decided he'd prefer to take on a ready-made son without the nuisance of a woman who might make emotional and financial demands on him. Typical. Just the sort of thing I would have expected from a man like him, she said scathingly. David patted his wife's hand and put her outburst down to the fact that she herself was 4 months pregnant with their first child. A very emotional time for a woman, but of course there was a thread of truth in Elaine's argument. Despite the fact that over the course of the years Garrick Evans had had several long-standing relationships with women, it was rumoured that he always made it plain to them that they could forget marriage. A hard man. A man it would be very difficult to get to know. A man who wore an air about him of always getting what he wanted. And what he now wanted was a 9-month-old boy currently living with his guardian, a woman who, according to her file, was an orphan herself, without either wealth or family to support her. Even if she wanted to keep the child, she would never be able to stand out against Garrick. Feeling rather sorry for her, David Wilder applied himself to his dinner. Not all that very far away from the elegant terraced house which had been Elaine Wilder's parents' wedding gift to her and her husband, Kate Oakley sat cross-legged on her sitting-room floor, the telephone receiver jammed into the crook of her neck while she painted her nails with her free hand. Her house, although not in as fashionable part of London as the Wilders', was every bit as elegantly decorated and furnished. As a PR consultant running her own business, Kate was well aware of the importance of creating the right image, hence the nail polish. She finished one hand and studied the effect with a frown, while listening to her friend exclaiming in amusement. Kate, you with a 9-month-old baby? This I have to see. How in the world are you managing? I'm not, Kate told her firmly. That's why I'm ringing you. In the last 6 weeks I've gone through 4 supposed nannies, Camilla. It can't go on. I came in tonight all set to go out to dinner with James, only to discover the latest one waiting for me with her bags packed. Good heavens.